Hello everybody, this is Joe from TheTechSlugs, and welcome to episode 2 of 3 in controlling your money-making devices from anywhere. Alright, if you have not seen the first episode, I will leave a link on the screen right now and also in the description to where you can go watch that episode. It's about controlling money-making computers from anywhere. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about controlling money-making iOS devices from anywhere. So we know the obvious benefits to this. If you can't make it home, if you go on vacation, you want to leave all your devices at home, yet at the same time you still want to be able to make money while you are not around. You want to be able to remotely access everything, keep your money coming in even while you can't be there. Remote access is an absolutely awesome thing. So let's talk about controlling iOS devices today. Now, before we get started with the methods, I'm going to tell you right now, you need jailbreak for this. No, don't ask me for an alternate method. I don't have one. If you have an alternate method that doesn't require jailbreak, boy, I'd love to hear it, and you can send me a message about that. If you don't know what a jailbreak is, or if you just don't have a jailbreak and you'd like to know when the next utility is releasing, then I recommend you go check out this YouTube called I Crack Your iDevice. I really like to watch this channel for jailbreak news. He speculates when the next jailbreak may release, and he also goes through a step-by-step process on how to jailbreak once the utility is released. So that is a great jailbreak resource. Now I'm going to assume you're jailbroken. The first thing you got to do is go to Cydia, and you have to type in Veency. This is a package you need to download. No, not VNC, it's VEENC. It's kind of a play on words. And you should not need to add any sources in order to get this. It should be just in the Big Boss repository. And this is a free package. It works on iOS 7, iOS 8, iOS 9. This is all from my experience of using VNC. It may work on iOS 6 also. Once you download VNC, go to Settings and find VNC. And once you get into the VNC control panel, you obviously have to make sure it's enabled. Make sure the cursor option is on. That's just my recommendation. It's easier to use the phones in certain situations. Another very important thing is you have to have a password set. If you don't have a password set, then you cannot access your phones when they are unattended. This is obviously defeating the purpose of remote access. So set a password. Now, I kind of have two methods in order to remote access iOS devices. They're basically the same thing because they're both using the VNC software, but they kind of veer in different directions. Let's talk about my recommended path first and what you must have in order to use my recommended path. So in the last episode, we talked about controlling money-making computers, and usually a money-making computer is a computer that stays at home all the time and is making money for you. Now, with this being at your house all the time, it's probably wired up to the internet. It's got some pretty, stable connection to your router. And basically what you can do is go first to the money-making computer and then to your money-making iOS device. So you've installed VNC and you've set a password. The next thing you need to do, regardless of which method you're going to use, is you need to get the internal IP address on your iPhone. This is very easy. Go into Settings and go to your Wi-Fi. Click the information icon of the Wi-Fi that you are currently on, and it will show your iOS device's internal IP address. Then what you need to do is go to your money-making computer that stays at home all the time, and you need to type in this internal IP address into Veency Viewer on that computer. To download Veency Viewer, I'll leave a link in the description. Once you do that, it's going to prompt you for the password, and then your phone is going to appear on the screen of that money-making computer. So what you did was access your money-making device on the local network. As long as the money-making iOS device is on the same network as the money-making computer, you will be good. And that's just what you've done. Now, what we're going to add is a second link to this equation. So let's say you are out somewhere away from your house and you need to remotely access your money-making iOS devices. Well, what you can do first is go through your money-making computer with a remote access server software or through the VNC server and port forwarding options I showed in the last tutorial of controlling money-making computers. So basically use one of those methods in controlling money-making computers from anywhere, like with TeamViewer or something. So go to the computer first that's at home and then to the iOS device. You see, and that's going to work because you have to have a connection in the internal network before you can go to the money-making iOS devices. This is if you have this middle link. the money-making computer, which I assume most of you do if you're into this make money online stuff. This computer always has to be on, and it always has to be at home. Otherwise, this obviously isn't going to work. So let's say you don't have a money-making computer at hand all the time that can just sit at home, be on, and ready for remote access 24/7. Well, what you can do is just do a little bit of port forwarding for your money-making iOS devices, and you can go directly to the iOS device no matter where you are. So what you're going to have to do is port forward each money-making iOS device. In order to port forward, you have to go into your router's settings and find the port forwarding menu, and then you have to enter the internal IP address of the money-making iOS device you want to forward to the outside world, and then enter a port that corresponds to that money-making device. Also, what's a little different from what I told you about this with money-making computers is you do need to fill in the local port. The local port is 5900 for Veency on iOS devices. After you forward the port, you're going to have to go to a computer outside of the network, then enter your external IP address, followed by a colon, followed by the port that you forwarded for that particular money-making iOS device, and hit connect, fill that into Veency, and it will prompt you for the password of that device. This is how you are going to have to remote access your money-making iOS devices if you do not have a computer always at hand at home for you to go through first. I don't really recommend this way, but if you don't have a money-making computer sitting around at home 24/7 able to be accessed, then this is what you're going to have to do. A few side notes to all this that I also have in the website article on controlling your money-making devices is that I recommend you set up a DDNS and also reservations in your DHCP server. So what both of these things mean respectively. A DDNS is basically like a domain of your external IP, and what this allows for you to do is, just in case your internet provider changes your external IP, which they probably do, as most residential users do have dynamic IP addresses, which means their external IP changes so often, then you will still have access. Even though your external IP address was changed, you have your domain name that you can access your money-making devices through. DHCP reservations prevents the internal IP address of your devices from changing. This is very important because if they lose contact with the router for some time, let's say the power goes out or the router does a hard reset and it comes back on, perhaps the IP addresses will shuffle around on your network. And this money-making device may lose its internal IP address and it may go to another device, and you're going to lose access to all your money-making devices. So set DHCP reservations in the DHCP server column of your router if your router is capable of it, which most are. I think all routers actually have DHCP server capabilities. So just as some side notes into doing this. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and episode 3 will be controlling Android devices, and then I think I'm going to make an episode on some tweaks, tips, and tricks in, controlling and managing your devices from a remote location. It's just a bit different than when you're there with the devices. All right, have fun making money, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. To use your money-making devices, you have to be there with your money-making devices, and this can be a problem because let's say you're out at an abnormal time in the day, or let's say you're going on vacation. None of us want to take 15 phones